Hello, hello. All right. I am so excited to be on here. It's been forever, and I have tried to make it my New Year's resolution to be more consistent. But I've been really busy, and all of a sudden, I have 3 due process and mediation requests. I always do them together. That's a live for another day. I honestly, personally, with experience, think mediation as a standalone is not worth it. You get a heck of a lot more the other way. But again, we'll talk about that later. Post below a 1 if it's your first through third time catching me live, a 2 below if it's your third plus time and you're an oldie but goodie and you haven't seen me in a while. Make sure you say hi. Make sure everybody, you guys tell me where you're from. If you want to say something about your child, we want to know, okay? So what today is about, okay, so last year, or during COVID, I did weekly, sometimes twice a week, Q&As. All right, so this is a Q&A. I'm going to be going through the group, and I'm going to be, so if you guys are listening on YouTube or if you're listening on the page, I have a private group. It is Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP group. And my team adds everybody who wants to join, usually once or twice a week. But if I see you hop on, I will add you really quick. So you can join the group. So what people do in the group is they talk and they communicate, and it's a very safe place to be able to just ask your questions that you want to ask. And so I'm going to go through that and answer questions today, but I'm also here, so you guys have me. If you have any questions, you hear loud music, but you know what? It might be that thing that was on here. Hang on one second, because I don't have any music on, so hang on. Okay. Is it gone? I had this like background music thing on. What, is it off now? Is it good? Hopefully it's good. All right. Okay, so I answer the questions from the group, and then what I do is if you guys have questions now, okay, good. Then ask them. Okay. So I'm going to go on to the group and I'm just going to start answering questions. I know people from the group have already answered a lot and you guys are awesome. But I'm going to answer them on a whim for you. And then what I do is I tag that person and say, hey, I just answered your question live. Go check it out. And then they're able to go and hear what I have said. Oldie, welcome back. Hey, Bill, how are you? Now start over. You didn't hear anything. Okay, so what I said, I'm going to do this really quick. I haven't been on here in forever. I have 3 due process cases that I am getting ready to get out. So I've been a complete nutbag. And, you know, I have missed going live. All right. I really love going live. It's fun. I love interacting with you guys. So for people who are on the page and on YouTube, I have a Facebook group. It's a very private, close-knit group. 8,000 plus people, but you know, it's still a close-knit group. And it's where questions and people talk and communicate and get to know each other. And so if you're not part of the group, come join it. It's Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. But either way, people post questions. I'm going to be answering them. If you have questions right now, I'm going to go ahead and answer those as well. And so post away, post a 1 below. If it's your first through third time catching me live, post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. All right. And if you have any live ideas, live of things you want to know, learn, talk about, hear more about, just post that below. All right. And it'll be something that we kind of take into consideration and definitely schedule that in our social media calendar. Okay. So one of the questions is, it just says author. And then it says she updated it and she posts some documentation. and she says IEP meeting 1/9/23. Hopefully it went well. And she said who was going to be there. What was really weird is she said something about bus transportation footage. Okay, so that means she's going to be watching that. It's a very, 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 very long post, and she basically went through all of this stuff about being reprimanded and, notes from the doctor and this, that, and the other. And then how does she proceed? It was very lengthy. Um, and it was in regards to restraining and a court system and a police report and all of those things. So, what I'm going to say to you is, I'm going to say to you guys, don't email. All right. Because she did put her email. So, I may actually delete this post. And the other thing is like she posted the officer's name and all of these things. So obviously something's going on. I wish her the best. I cannot respond to anything, with legalities in place, especially not understanding the whole situation. So I wish her nothing but the best, but I can't answer those questions, especially since I don't know the whole story. And obviously, there's attacking involved in all of these things, and it really is a horrible situation. So I'm really sorry that you're going through that. Okay. The next thing is, let's see, who's next? All right. So we have Beth. I love Beth. She's such a sweetheart. Oh my God, I love her. And she is actually a school psychologist. And she says, I requested an IEP meeting on January 6th. The school lawyer responded the same day and said that she would review my information. She would review your information. What? I provided a list of concerns about the current IEP and get back to me about my request for an IEP meeting. Um, we got to change that wording. What would be a reasonable time for me to follow up on this email? Well, number one, you shouldn't have to follow up on the email. Okay. I was thinking about asking about the status of setting up an IEP if I don't hear back by Wednesday afternoon. Okay. Everything about this is not okay. All right. All right. I see Kim responded and she said, if you request an IEP meeting, school believes has 30 days to have it scheduled. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. Let me just start from the beginning. The school lawyer should never have responded to you because you don't have a lawyer. All right. Now, as an advocate, if a lawyer responds or a lawyer usually the lawyer doesn't get involved right away anyway. So I think we know that your situation is a little bit different, Beth. So obviously the lawyer's involved. But one thing you need to know is if you don't have a lawyer or an advocate, the school cannot have a lawyer present. Okay. And I already have all kinds of stuff, guys, on lawyers. And if you want to shut them down in an IEP meeting, I can tell you how to do it. All right. I have finally found what is it called? The golden nugget, or, with America's Got Talent. What is it? The golden something, right? Someone tell me, what is it? The golden what? All right, this is your golden nugget with attorneys. Like I think I have so much experience with having IEPs with attorneys that I could tell you about IEP meetings and attorneys with my eyes closed. All right. So here's the deal, Beth, is number one, you shouldn't have to follow up in regards to an IEP meeting. Number two, you should never have to ask permission when it comes to having an IEP meeting. Now, technically, can the school say, okay, well, what's the purpose, that sort of thing, but never should they deny an IEP meeting. You're an equal team member. You have every right, just as they do, to request an IEP meeting. All right. And the thought that you have to even think in your head, oh, when's a reasonable time to follow back up with them is even more ridiculous. Okay. but doesn't happen? Yes, we all know that, right? So a reasonable time would be 3 days to 5 days, um, dependent on the urgency of the situation. But when you follow up with on such and such date. I requested an IEP meeting. It is important in regards to my child and their education. I would hope that their education is of importance to you and their interest is their best interest at heart is at the forefront. I look forward to hearing back from you in regards to my request for an IEP meeting back on whatever that date is. Okay. So hold them accountable. You're holding them accountable for your child's education and hoping that it's important to them. And you're also holding them accountable to the fact that you need to respond. Because the funny thing is with these school districts is they seem to expect a whole hell of a lot from us, but don't do that in return. And I don't play that. All right. You want respect from me? You give the respect. And vice versa. I expect that. All right. If I come at you, hey, by all means, come back. But if I don't come at you and you come back at me, then we're going to have a problem. That's how it works. All right. Um, Next question, Lindsay. I need advice. My 8-year-old son with, and you, if you guys have questions, just post them below. I'll get them. I need advice. My 8-year-old son with ADHD and GAD has an IEP in place and has been in place since the end of first grade. It is written in his IEP that he be allowed breaks. Ooh, this is a good one. When taking tests, but that is not happening. For example, today he was asked to complete a 40-minute test on the iPad with no breaks. He got bored, cut his headphones, and then rushed through the test. He was then written up and sent to the if he was allowed breaks, that may not have happened. I love how she says that. This has also been written in his IEP since the beginning of the school year. We have a review of his IEP on Tuesday, and I need advice on how to approach this. So I really apologize that this is a little late, not sure how this went. But here's the thing, Lindsay, is in regards to my first question for you, all right, is going to be, does it say how long those breaks are? All right. In IEPs, it has to be specific. All right. Specific, specific, specific. So you never want an IEP to state things like maybe, or things like the child's going to have breaks, but then nothing regarding the break, like how much time is he getting in a break? All right. And then my next question for you is, how do you know it wasn't provided unless you were sitting beside him or were there? All right. So that's my next question is, how come he didn't get a break? Would be number one. How long are the breaks? What does it say in the IEP? And if there's not a time, you need to put a time. And then my next question is how can you prove he didn't have a break? It cannot be that he told you. All right. So parents, if you use the fact that your child told you X, Y, and Z, good luck using that because it's not going to work. All right. It has to be proof. You have to be able to prove it. All right. And it is not likely that if you say, oh, my child told me, that that's going to fly, because it's not. Okay. So you have to be specific. You have to have the proof and you have to be able to support it. So I'm going to tag her at Lindsay. Okay. Yep. I'm writing her, letting her know that I commented. All right. All right. So here's the next one. I need advice about a behavior plan for an almost 14-year-old junior high school kid. Mm, okay. He occasionally gets angry or provoked in unstructured times throughout the school day, especially during games and when he's losing. I'm sick of them putting him in ISI, isolation, and not facing the problem. Hmm. He doesn't need to miss his academic classes. He struggles enough as it is. He's terrified of storms. And yesterday, a little after the Alabama tornadoes passed and they'd been sheltering for over an hour in the crowded hallway, he was placed once again in ISI for losing his temper because he lost a game in a new class this semester I didn't even know he'd been placed in. Oh, wow. The principal doesn't understand that the anxiety from the morning weather situation was probably what provoked this. Any advice? I'm so frustrated. Okay. So, Laura, um, my first question for you is you say I need advice about a behavior plan. So I'm assuming that you do not have a BIP, have not had an FBA, that sort of thing. That is first and foremost. You need to write the school. You need to add the director of special education, the special ed teacher. If the special ed teacher is the case manager, even better. If not, you have to add the case manager. You want to do the gen ed teacher and the principal. That's at minimum. All right. I would also put it your child's name, RE, your child's name, very important behavior plan. And then I would put in the email, I would say, hi, I am not happy about many different things that have occurred and situations that have happened within the educational setting and my son. All right. You want to say, this has been going on for X and X amount of time. And during unstructured times and during times that, he's winning, losing, or things are happening. All of these are antecedents, by the way. So, many of these antecedents, Laura, to be able to tell them and let them know in advance that this is a problem. Okay. So you need to make sure that you say during unstructured times, that during classes that he struggles with. Go figure, right? Any of us would get frustrated, right? And think about things like I say this all the time. People think I'm crazy, but I'm really not. All right. Cesar Millan does behavior modification with animals, with dogs. All right. Dogs and people, when it comes to behavior, are very, very, very similar. Believe it or not, think it's crazy. It's a fact. Okay. So when you look at it as, a similarity, all right, if you do something, all right, then you have to be able to follow up. All right. So he's doing something because he's not happy. It's an unstructured time. Children with autism, children with ADHD, children with disabilities, period. Me, I don't like change. I don't like unstructured. I need something structured. I need focus. I need, everything in a certain way. Call it OCD, whatever. So I totally feel your son and I understand where he's coming from and I can understand how it can frustrate him and he gets angry. Also, when it talks about him being put in isolation, that's crazy. Okay, that is crazy. You need to create a behavior plan for him. That's why he needs an FBA. So what happens is instead of him getting angry, hopefully a BCBA can get involved because really they're the most qualified when it comes to behavior. Okay. And it's really important for them to get involved because they're going to be able to see that antecedent of him getting angry because it's unstructured time. So we know before that unstructured time happens that we need to teach him a replacement behavior. So whatever that replacement behavior is what's taught to him so that he can then maybe be forewarned of, hey, it's gonna be this time, so let's do this, and then kind of distract him so that he can transition into that unstructured time in a different way, or maybe make it a structured time for him where he has specific things that he's going to do during that unstructured time within the classroom. So things can become structured even though it may be an unstructured time for many. Does that make sense? So Amanda, I see your question. So hang on, give me a second, okay? So that's number one. Number two is, if he's struggling in classes, all right, he doesn't like unstructured times. It kind of comes to mind, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, that more than likely he does not like certain things within the academic areas. Let's just say reading and math. All right. If he's not good in certain areas or he struggles in certain areas, it's going to make him mad. It's going to make him frustrated. And we have to resolve that problem. Okay. That's the antecedent, which is he doesn't like to do it, escape behavior. So he's going to act out instead of wanting to do that work. Right. So instead of wanting to do that work, he's going to act out. So what we have to do is address the acting out. All right. Because we already know that when he doesn't like something, he's going to act out. All right. So we got to address the acting out, which is going to be teaching him a replacement behavior in order to encourage him. Hey, it can be an if then statement. If you do this, then you get this, whatever works for him. Sometimes if then does not work for every child, just like most things don't work for everybody. So we have to play with it. Yes, Skylar. You can have one. Okay. So that's what's really important, is giving that replacement behavior. Okay. My child's getting ready to have a meltdown. So if you hear, my husband's up there dealing with it. Okay. So the next thing is tornadoes. That's why I brought up animals. Okay. My dog has anxiety during thunderstorms. All right. So I have a child upstairs throwing a fit because we took her putty. She was very angry at us because we took her putty because she was not nice to the dogs. So she got grounded and she is now ticked off because she doesn't get her putty. All right. But does that mean I give in and give her her putty? Nope. She gets punished. But she's earning her putty she gets one. She has 50 million of them. So she gets one back every day if she has a good day. But then again, she's 17. She's older. All right. She comprehends what happened. All right. Moving on. So hopefully that makes sense. The anxiety piece has to be addressed, Laura. There's all these things that have to be addressed. They all can be addressed with having an FBA done, a good person doing it, and then being able to document the function of the behavior, the hypothesis, the antecedent, obviously what the specific behaviors are. And I'm a problem solver. So that person needs to be a problem solver and say, okay, this is what the behavior is. This is what we're going to teach him as a replacement behavior and solve those problems and diminish the behaviors. Does it mean take them away? No, not always. But does that mean fade them away? Absolutely. And then that can go into a goal as well and say it's with 3 prompts that you're teaching them to do a specific replacement behavior. And you can actually change the goal and just reduce the prompts. It's pretty good. All right. So hopefully that helps you. We already did this one, I believe. Oh no, this is Beth again. So she says, I was told I'm not allowed to have both a lawyer and an advocate attend an IEP meeting. Is there a specific law that states this, or do agencies and or school districts tend to have policies around? No, you can have both. You can absolutely have both. You can have anybody. IDEA states that you can bring and invite anyone that has knowledge in regards to your child. Hence, why school district attorneys, most of the time, I would say 99.99999% of the time, do not have knowledge and expertise in regards to your child. Therefore, they can sit there and sit pretty, keep their nice mouths shut, and they can't advise their client in front of you if you don't have an attorney. If you have an attorney, they advise their client in front of you. They cannot. Okay? So if I like an attorney, then I'll let them talk. And a lot of times they'll make sense. And it's a lot easier, than the district at times, where attorneys think they get to run the show and I have to shut it down really quick. It's an ethical violation, actually, where when you don't have expertise and knowledge in a child and you are at an IEP meeting invited by the school district, specifically if you're an attorney, attorneys' jobs are settlement and litigation. They're never I've never seen an attorney who was an expert in IEPs. Never. Now, are there some out there? I'm sure, but I have not met one in 15 years. So we'll see. Most of them, and I have this on recording, most of them will say, can you, like, if we're going over an evaluation, they'll say to the evaluator, can you tell me about that? Because I don't really understand that at all. Or, I mean, there's a lot of things that they don't understand. And so um, it's interesting. In my mind, sometimes, and I don't say this actually to the nice ones, but in my mind, I'm thinking, why are you here? Because the school district is scared of me? I mean, they have to put their big girl and big boy pants on and deal. I mean, because in all honesty, your lack of knowledge, how is that protecting them? Because they can record just like I am. So what is it that you're doing to protect them? Because honestly, you can't really say much. Just saying. So yes, you can bring both. And a little bit shocking here, Beth, is if you had an attorney, why didn't he tell you this? There are 12 of us at the table. It is such an unfair advantage to me as a parent. Luckily, I had my husband and advocate at all the meetings. My husband is frustrated by the process and probably will no longer attend. Okay. That could just leave me, the lawyer, if I choose to hire one. The parent advocate helps to put me at ease at the meetings. Okay. Your advocate should be the one speaking on your behalf so that your anxiety most of my parents want me to speak on their behalf, and then we bounce off each other. So then I'll say, tell me again about this, and then it'll be in regards to topics of their concern and the things that they want to talk about. But your advocate should be the one talking and advocating for you and not be there as a helping hand. I mean, you can have your sister or your mom or someone else do that. So your advocate should actually be doing the work and gathering the information for you and getting things done at the table. There shouldn't be a comment of an unfair advantage. Your advocate should be taking charge and getting the job done. So if that's not happening, then maybe you need to think about another advocate. And if you're gonna hire an attorney's not gonna hold your hand, and they sure as heck don't know a whole lot about IEPs. So unless you're going to do process, then I would say you probably need to hire a different advocate. Because you shouldn't have these questions for us if you had a good advocate. All right. And because you would be asking your advocate these things, and your advocate should have solid answers for you. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Maybe not what you want to hear, but hopefully it helps. Okay. Let's move on. Next question. Jennifer Lewis. Hello. First time posting. Welcome. My daughter is in pre-K and I requested an IEP. When enrolling her, I got a lot of pushback and a let's wait response. So I did, and for the most part, it has went better than I thought. It's becoming more obvious that my daughter's needs need more support. So I'm wanting to request an IEP again. I'm not sure what all is okay and what I should ask for. Also, is problems going to bathroom something that can be included in an IEP? She is potty trained, but sensory wise gets anxious. Please offer any advice. Thank you. All right. So in regards to that question, so I'm going to answer that for you. Okay. So, in regards to that, all right, absolutely. The first time that you asked for an IEP, that should have happened and taken place. That's number one. Okay. That should have never happened where you just let it go. All right. You should have immediately addressed it and immediately um, had them do the evaluation and initial evaluation. I'm assuming your child does not have an IEP because you're asking for an IEP. So it's what's called the 90-day. All right. So they have to evaluate your child, meet with you, evaluate your child, you know, and then meet with you again, an IEP in place, and all of the stuff, all right, has to happen within that time frame. And you have to stay on top of them in regards to it. All right. It's super important to stay on top of things. It's super important to make sure that the school districts do their job. And it's really important, especially when you have that initial eligibility and you're requesting that. There's no time that is a bad time. The minute you feel that something's not okay and you want your child evaluated, you are the parent, or even if you're a caregiver or grandparent, you guys have those feelings, inside of something's not right, or I need to do this or that and the other, right? So it's really important for you guys to go with those gut feelings, and it's really important for you guys to hone in on running with that. All right. Don't let them gaslight you. Okay. And one of the things that I tell parents that you should absolutely not do, because it was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. All right. So listen up. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made that put me through 6.5 years worth of literal hell. And that is probably putting it nicely, um, is waiting. I kept being told, Raven, she has special needs. Give her time, give her time, give her time. Let's just see how it goes. She's making a little bit of progress. Let's just give her time. But I already had that feeling of something's not going right. And we already had waited time. But my stupid self forever ago, okay, over like 15 years ago, didn't go with my gut. And I feel stupid that I didn't do that. I just do. And even though I didn't know what I was doing. I was running in the blind, and I could kick myself in the ever loving ass for it. And so just go with your gut. If you're wrong, so what? You got nothing to lose. You got an evaluation for your child. That's a great thing if they did a good job. Okay? So never second guess yourself. All right. You're never going to make a decision that's going to harm your child. So go with it, run with it, always do it. Never question. All right. Never question yourself. We all make mistakes. They do. We do. All of us in this world do. So if you have a gut feeling, run with it, deal with what happens after that. But don't not make that decision, the CEO of your IEP meeting, which is totally like what I did not do at the beginning of this and tell you what I do. My name is Raven Woods, and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mom Rocks IEP, and I help parents like you become the CEO of your IEP meeting. Take charge, initiative, take full advantage of your rights and speak up. All right? Do not allow people, anybody, to shut you down when it comes to your child. Anybody that knows me, all right? And I am getting ready to play videos for you, not visual, but audio, okay, of things that happen in IEP meetings. And I will go round and round and round with them. And I don't back down. Okay? If anybody's backing down, it's them. All right? Because if I am requesting something, I don't request things that just come out of my butt. All right? I request things that are needed and appropriate. And I can say with full faith in knowing that I have never asked for a service or an accommodation that wasn't appropriate for that child or too much. Okay? Never. Never have I asked for a one-on-one or a service or anything that the child didn't need. So knowing that, I will fight for it. Okay? And you guys got to do the same. All right. So in regards to that, she says that he's putting, what is it? Same day information review. Okay, so we're moving on to the next question. Sorry. Okay, so Beth again talks about what would be reasonable time for me to follow. Okay, we already did that one, y'all. Okay, and then we talked to Laura about his needs and what she needs to do. All right, now we're keeping moving. So the next one, I love that picture, Rashima, and of your son. I love it. It's so precious, and happy birthday to him. And then we have, okay, my son's in 5th grade, has an IEP and a BIP. He is in general ed with a one-to-one para and has accommodations for ELA. And for those of you who don't know what that is language arts. Math and speech. Okay, so reading, math, and speech. So my question is the transition to middle school. When do I contact them to go over what my son will need to succeed? You don't. It's going to be a huge change for him, so I want it to be as smooth as possible. He struggles on and off since kindergarten and come a long way. That's so awesome. I had to fight and fight for a pair and finally got it written into his IEP at the end of the year. If anyone has any advice, that would be great. Okay, so here's the thing is number one is those 3 areas. I'm hoping that all right, reading, math, and speech. All right. You need to look into dyslexia ASAP. All right. Have they ever evaluated him for dyslexia? Okay. They have to actually screen every child in regards to dyslexia. All right. K through 2, by law, they have to do it. After that, it's if a child has difficulty in those areas reading, writing, math, and reading go hand in hand. So this is something you want to look at. You can have the school screen them, but you can also be evaluated outside of the school district, which I would also recommend. But so many kids are not being screened for this. And even though it's the law for K through 2, it is still the law to make recommendations for school district staff members to make recommendations regarding a student who has needs aligned with the areas of deficit within. There's no diagnosis, if you will. Okay. It's really like a checkoff list, like the school has for speech or, does the child have a SLI? Okay, check off that checkbox, right? The same thing for if a child has, a specific learning disability. So it's all of those things that have to go into play. All right. So that is super important. In regards to transitioning, here's what I would suggest is during the summer, if your child needs ESY, you need to fight for it. Most children with special needs need ESY. I mean, there is not one child that I have advocated for that didn't need ESY. There's just not. All right. It's just going about it in the right way. That's all it is. All right. And then in regards to the transition, you ask the team to make an appointment for you to take him if he gets anxiety to meet all the teachers, not on that like back to school day. Do it before he starts school. Go meet everybody, let him get acclimated, open up lockers, all of those different things. You can 100% set that up in advance. Usually the school will do it for you, but if you feel you want to do it yourself and that sort of thing, you can absolutely do that. I would highly recommend meeting the one-to-one para in advance, having conversations, and then also going in face to face, talking with the teachers, because there's going to be different classes now. So that's going to be a huge transition. So really look at that and make sure that everything goes well. Okay, Mindy? So good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. So let's move on to. All right, here we go. And I was responding to this one and I kind of skipped it, y'all. Sorry. Sorry, Jennifer. Okay, so in regards to her preschool child, I was saying how, we don't want to let things go. So get your child evaluated. It's an eligibility. You literally just put in an email and say, um, I believe my child has special needs and I would like my child to be evaluated in regards to having an IEP. And there are multiple concerns that I have in regards to my child's, you can just pick one thing, but you actually don't have to give them a reason to evaluate. And it can be speech though. It can be, in all areas. It can be whatever it is you're welcome to say, but you actually do not have to give them a specific reason. You can actually just say that you need your child evaluated in all areas of academic, reading, writing, math, speech and language, sensory, etc. And in order to deem what eligibility your child would fall under. So don't assume that they wouldn't qualify. Assume as such and say eligibility my child would fall under because there are multiple needs that need to be met within the educational setting. I look forward to hearing back from you within the timeline to get things started. All right. So that's the biggest thing. All right. So that is that. All right. So the next one is, let me see. Okay. Has anyone heard of this? Autism breakthrough treatment improves? No, I haven't. Okay. My at night. Oh, in regards to someone's question, in regards to can the school district address potty training and sensory? Absolutely. 100%. All right, Kim, never take an advocate the school suggests. I believe they work for the school, then for the parent. That's why I hired Raven. um, so Luna says, what do you think it would have a good AT program that can help us seventh, if not able to follow gen ed, doesn't take notes and struggles organization. Can you explain that a little better for me? What do you think it would a good AT program? Or do you mean assistive technology? Can you clarify that for me, Saluna, so that I can answer that better for you? Amanda, I have an IEP coming up next week and my son is severely regressing. Tell me how. How is he regressing? How do I begin to research what services that he's in? Stop researching Google, guys. How do I begin to research what services that he's entitled to that he might not be receiving? I know they won't willingly tell me. Neither will Google. I got my Google PhD for real. All right. I mean, I went to school for a long time for that Google PhD. Look at it like this. That's why the membership is so essential for you guys to join. Is Google will give you your PhD. You will become so smart. Oh my God. I Google everything. All right. A lot of things can be put on Google that's just bullshit. And the other thing is Google isn't individualized. Okay. And the key thing with IEPs and the fact that they're individualized means that everything that's out there with an idea, word, all of these things, you have to know how to use them in order to find. So you can Google whatever you want, but if you don't know how to use it in the right way to support and back up what you're saying that your child needs, then it's a fail. All right. So you have to be able to do that. All right. Which is why every 16 months, your child will have a evaluation. If I don't need every area, okay. Usually I want pretty specific areas, but so many children struggle in math, reading, writing. I need them to have an evaluation every 14 to 16 months because children change and I need to know if they've made progress. And I'm definitely not counting on the progress reports that tell us 0. So I want data throughout the year. All right. And then I want to see progress. And I will evaluate. And I send my parents to Linda Mood Bell. And I have other evaluations done to back up what their evaluations say to see if they align. And I ask for IEEs if necessary. And all of the things, okay? Because if you don't know where that child is, you don't know a baseline, you don't know where they are presently, there's no way to create goals. There's no way to know what services would be appropriate. And there's no way to know what accommodations will serve that child because we don't know where they are. We have to support it, okay? And it takes time, all right? In the membership, that's what I teach you, what to do with that knowledge that we learn. All right. How to use it. All right. Because that is the most important piece. All right. So many people get into the IEP meeting. I did it. Because remember, I got my Google PhD. And so I used that Google PhD in the IEP meeting to sound like a complete and utter idiot. And so I had to learn how to take all that knowledge, not sound like an idiot, and use it. I call it flipping it. That's what I teach in my class. All right. The Rock the IEP course. I teach how to take the knowledge that you learn, flip it, and make it about your child. All right. So I teach that the hunt and gather. Okay. You become an attorney, but we just didn't go to the colleges for it. And you become very proficient in doing what you need to do in that meeting. All right. But I have realized, okay, that like many of us, I am very unique human being. And I'm very different. And I digest it and accept it and feel so good about it. I can't even tell you. You know, you get to the point in your life where you're just like, oh, yeah, I'm doing this right. And no matter what anybody says, you know you're doing it right. And so how I look at it is, how do I know I'm doing it right? Do I just think I'm the shit? No. What makes me know that I'm doing it right is because so many kids are winning. Now, why am I getting ready to file due process for some parents? Because when you're at the point where you're asking for things that actually cost a lot of money, you're going to hit a wall. They ain't going to give it to you. They're going to try to give you everything else that isn't going to serve the child at that point because they failed them so much it's not going to work. Okay. So then we're asking for things that unless you file, we ain't going to due process unless they push us to that point. But you gotta take that extra. All right. There is no situation that is always going to be beautiful. All right. And definitely not with this process. So you have to be open and willing. I tell parents, like I'm very picky. And if I'm taking a client, they better be a parent that's ready to go, that is had it and is ready to get their child what they need, no matter what. I have a difficult time with the teeter totter. All right. I'm like, your child's not getting what they need. All right. All right. No teeter tottering anymore. I don't teeter totter. All right. I go for it with everything I got. Okay. And so that's what's important. All right. So in regards to going to the bathroom, yes, that can be put into a behavior plan. It can be put into goals. It can be worked on in OT. There's so many different things dependent on the data, which is key. Sky, did Dad say that the dishes were clean? Yeah. All right. Can you give me a minute, please? Yeah. Okay. So I love you, Mom. I love you too, Sky. So the next question is, and if you guys have questions, keep going. I know I asked the one lady to respond. Okay, Evangelina, did you ask a question? Okay. My son is having a triannual evaluation. What should I ask the school psychologist and the OT speech behavior therapist? They never respond to my questions. Well, you should ask for specific evaluations. I never not ask for specific evaluations and expect them. And any attorney on here, any school district administrator on here, if they've ever worked for me or worked for me, they actually do when I'm in an IEP meeting. I'm just kidding. All right. But I get the evaluations I want. Come on, people who've worked with me. You guys know that, right? I get the evaluations I want. All right. I will brag on that one. I get the ones I want. All right. Period. All right. And it's not because I'm special, y'all. It's not. It's I understand. This is how I say it. Are you listening? Write this down. Record it. All right. I understand. This is me talking to the team. I understand that legally speaking, per idea, you all, unfortunately, I don't say that. What I want to say, though, is until it changes when idea freaking updates again. But no, what I really say is I understand that you all, as the experts in your area, have the right to pick and choose whatever evaluations you choose to do in regards to the child, while you still have to adhere to the fact that whatever the child's needs are, all of those needs, including needs that may not be showing up at the surface, need to be evaluated. However, that is not the way I think, and I don't think that teams should think in that way. Here's how I think about it. You all do whatever evaluations you want. I won't argue about anything that you do. Do whatever you want. I just request that you do the ones that I want as well. One of the things that I also say is the reason I ask that is because I'm speaking for the parent. Okay, so I'll say the parent is the expert in the child. You are the expert in your field. So the two of you coming together is a beautiful team. So you doing the evaluations you feel are appropriate as an expert in your area, and the parent, hopefully they have knowledge. Okay, I do. So we set areas we want evaluated, and these are the assessments that will do that. All right, whether it's the self or the KTEA 3 or the Wyatt 4 or the Berry or whatever it is in regards to whatever area, I'm very specific. All right, if a child is verbal, and I want a good reading and writing and math outcome, I like the KTEA and the Wyatt put together, because while they are very similar in certain areas, they are actually very different. And the Wyatt 4 has the the dyslexia subtest and screening. And then I like the self as well for the speech areas, and I like the very for visual integration. I mean, I like a bunch of different things. So it really depends on your child. You'd have to tell me, Evangelina, about your child. In regards to OT for writing, there's the test of handwriting, different tests in regards to handwriting. There's the Berry, which is visual integration. I don't have all my tests in front of me. I'm trying to think. You can do the sensory profile, which is a questionnaire, but it's very thorough in regards to, questions for the parent, questions for the teacher. I actually like, like the Basque as well. I like those questionnaires because I love comparing what the parent and teacher says and seeing if there's huge differences or if they're actually very much alike. Believe it or not, most of them are very much alike. There's a few of them that have been completely different, and that there's something not transparent within it. And I'll usually have to, go further in evaluations in regards to that. But I'm
not too loud.
But you're being loud now.
I'm not gonna be loud again.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay.
I'll talk y'all to life, Mom.
Okay.
I'll talk to you, Mom.
Here. So hopefully that helps. Plus the school tells me he is improving. Never believe that. And he has not met his goal. He is improving and he hasn't met his goals. They tell me it takes time. His nonverbal. Okay, so if he's nonverbal, then there's certain assessments that he can and cannot have. If you message me on WhatsApp, I can help you out with that. All right, I can give you specifics. All right. In regards to, the evaluations to request. Because there are specific ones when, they are nonverbal, but there are a lot that are still the same that can be given to a child that's nonverbal. And if your child's nonverbal, Evangelina, I sure hope that he has an AAC device. That is my biggest pet peeve these days. All right, here's my pet peeves: reading, speech, and the stupidity of school districts and AAC devices. That's my new take on, is the fact that school districts not only will not give out AAC devices to some children, but will not train their staff on the AAC device and the child and the parents, all in which are required. And that's not just one time, that is ongoing, because the AAC device stated it has to be changed. It has to move up, if you will, with the child. I mean, there's so many issues with AAC devices, but I'm getting ready to scream it out loud. So it's going to get out there, because AAC devices are huge. The child has to have a voice. I don't care if it's sign language. I don't care if it's an AAC device with an iPad and it's or touch chat. I don't care. But whoever gives that device to that child and everybody that works with that child better be so freaking proficient in how to use it that they could tell me with their eyes closed. Yep. Yep. And if not, if your school district denies giving you training, I'm going to make sure your state does. That's a huge problem these days. Pisses me off to no end. And I'm sure it happened, and I'm sure it pisses off parents who have nonverbal children, because for someone to not be given a voice is a violation of that child's civil rights. Not cool. All right. I think that's it. And so Luna, I messaged you that I needed more information. So if you want to WhatsApp me, you can. That's how people get in touch with me. It's on the page in the group. I'm pretty sure you just click the WhatsApp button and it will take you to me, but I can also put it in here. My son is autistic and uses an AAC device to communicate, still loving all the informative content. Oh, thank you. How are you? Yes, AAC devices, they are huge, and the biggest thing with, yes, message me on WhatsApp. You hear Sky Kim? Do you hear? I'm not being loud. You're being loud. But yes. Kim says hi, Sky.
Hi, Ken.
You hear? Hi, Kim. All right, finish your dishes.
I'll talk later after life, Mom.
So yes, if your child she's something else for sure. She's definitely got a mouth on her these days, you know. Lovely age of 17. You know, it's like they can have their disabilities, but we have to remember that our kids are still that age. All right. So once they hit middle school, they still get mouthy. And that's not the disability. That's them getting mouthy because they're going into middle school. She's laughing. And when they go into high school, it gets even worse. So if they can talk, they get mouthy. And if they can't talk, then they probably get very frustrated and need that outlet of having a voice. All right. They can sit and scream at you on that iPad or whatever. I hate core boards with a passion. I think they're great for young children. Young. PECs as well. I was trained in PECs for years. I haven't done it in forever, but I was trained. Sky did it for many years. But at a certain age, they just kind of grow out of it.
Mom,
You know,
did you hear me laughing?
I heard you laughing, Sky.
That was funny. You know about it?
Oh, it was funny?
Yes.
Talking about teenagers?
Being loud and not being loud.
Oh, being loud and not being loud. That was funny. Okay.
I'll take out the later, Mom. I'll take it out the light. I'll take it later.
Okay.
Yeah.
With adults, right? Right, Kim? You said that, like, the last I heard, you were working with adults with this. All right, let's see if there's any more. If you guys have any more questions, go ahead. I'm going to look through these questions, make sure I at least answered most of them. So that people see that. Let me see. All right. Anybody else have any questions? They're so adorable and cute. Yes. Okay. Especially when they get older. No. You're kidding, right? No. My son struggles with using his verbal voice when anxious or upset. His school giving him the AAC device has helped a lot with meltdowns, both preventing to calm down during one, both preventing and to calm down. That's awesome. And Kristen, they are trained, right? Make sure they stay trained. There should be like every 3 to 4 months, there needs to be a training at minimum 2 hours. Not the stupid hour here and there that teaches you nothing because they're talking for 15 to 20 minutes of that time. All right. I want straight up training. And I even have, I'm going to take a picture of it for you guys because there's no name. And it's where, let me see, it's where the director wrote me because I had asked her what the training was of the staff. And she gave me this half-assed reason, right? And so I said, no, I want to know who had training, the name of the person. All right. I want to know how much training they had and how many hours they had and who trained them. All right. Those are the things I want to know. I want to know that they were trained appropriately. All right. So that's key for me is those staff members need to be trained and trained well. That's very, very, very important. All right. So I will see you guys tomorrow and we will have a conversation in regards to your child's needs and how things are going now, why this time every day, it seems like out of the school year is very important. But there's specific times within the school year that are even more important than others. So I'm going to talk to you about why this new year, at the new year, it's so essential to be on top of certain things in your IEP and what's going on with your child, their needs, their progress, and so forth. So we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow so that you can focus on those things. And if you have anything coming up, like some of these things like triennials, and don't ever have a triennial though. All right. You can call it your triennial because it's been 3 years. But what I want you to put in your heads is never wait 3 years to have your child evaluated ever again. All right. When you ask for a FERPA request, all right, because everybody knows and in the membership, you get it for free, where I ask for everything under the sun. And the key thing with that is when you ask for your FERPA request for the first time, you're asking for everything. And then after that, you ask for it once a year for just that 1 year. So then you're staying on top of it. Okay. That's very important to do. And then you always have important data, but you always should be getting data with your child's progress report. You should not just be getting a written sentence of what the goal is and that your child's making sufficient progress. You can call me on the phone and tell me that. And I don't even do phone. So you want data. All right. Have a great, great, great afternoon, evening, whatever it is for you. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Have a good evening.